Radio. So, okay, so we have somebody asking, can I join? Of course, yes. Link on. Sorry, everyone. I just want to let Thelma in because she's waiting to get into the community. Okie dokie. Super, super, super. All right. So I'm going to start with our first challenge that we had sent to us. And then if you can raise your hand and give some advice on it. Okay. So the first challenge seems to be quite common amongst the group. So maybe we can unpack it once again. So it's very interesting that this challenge is coming up again because we've actually had it probably for the last 4 sessions that we've done this. This exact same challenge keeps coming up. So let's hear, because we may have a few new people in the group this time. So my business challenge is that retail is very weak in my business. Okay, that's it. Retail is very weak in my business. It was sent by more than one spa and salon, so it does seem to be a general challenge that we're having at the moment. So which of our coaches, or even who in our community, has great success with retail that they'd like to share how they get those kind of successes? Or one of the coaches. Let's hear it. Come, let's get going. Who would like to start? Go, Fran. Off you go. Lovely.
Hi everyone. So retail, I think, is a challenge everywhere, in a constant challenge. In a sense, it's not something that goes away, because I think the therapists have never been trained to be that. So in my career, I always been trying to make an emphasis in retail and bring the retail element to the team. So in every spa that I worked at, they never thought of it. They never thought how much money they can make. They never saw how much commission they can actually earn, how much they increase the value per client that they see. So I don't think it's something that you can just say, well, it's a problem, and then that it's something that you got to work at constantly. It's not something that it will go away. You apply one thing and it will change. And I see that, like, what works today in the next month might not work. I must change the angle a bit. I must try to keep them motivated. What I realize that I have to be on top of them all the time is that what they like, is what they I don't know if this is the dynamics of this group specifically, but I have to be on top of them all the time. I have to drive it myself. They don't drive it themselves. I have to drive it myself.
And what tools do you use to drive it?
Okay.
If any,
so,
or is it your brain?
No, we have, so each one's got a target, as everybody should have, so they know what they're working towards to. So the target is split between retail and services, as we can send the spreadsheet very easily to anybody who needs it. Then we, every morning when they arrive, they have a plan where they actually strategize what they're going to be doing for every client, what upsells they're going to do with each treatment that they're going to be doing for every client. They're going to see what they think they're going to be selling to those clients that they're going to be seeing, depending on what the treatments that they're doing, or depending as well if they're regulars, what they bought the last time, if it's finished or something like that, what they can then add to what the previous experience was. So that happens every morning. It gets discussed between everybody, and also it gets checked as well towards the end of the day, because we ask them as well to continue posting and let us know what have they achieved or what they are actually posted. Because if not, it just doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere, it doesn't get measured either. So we constantly measure it as well, and then we create a spreadsheet that says how big or how good or bad your retail is. Of course, if it's bad, we don't say how bad you are. We're just trying to make it a bit more soft. So we're trying to provide the tools, training, and any further development, so we can actually get them to the level that you want them to be. Because actually, you need to see them for them first before they see it themselves. And I think that's what this team needed here. You need to see it first where you want them to be, and then they'll be like, oh my God, it's impossible. And then 6 months later, they prove you actually right.
Okay. Thank you, Frank. Let's hear from you, Laura.
So I'm going to look at it from a different perspective because everything that Fran has said is 100% right, but there's a step, in my opinion, that's before, and that is that it's a mindset problem. And most therapists go into therapy because they want to serve and they want to give. And so they think that retail is about not serving, the opposite of that. And so they have this fear, either the fear of rejection, the fear that the client won't come back, the fear that the client will say no to them. And they've got all these underlying fears that happen that never seem to get addressed. And these are the things that you need to start with, because then you won't actually need to go to the level that Fran has to go to in order to keep on pushing and driving. It starts to become inherent. So it's really about addressing their mindset, the fears that they have around selling, what they can gain from it personally. And so it becomes inherent within themselves, and that they realize that they are serving their clients, not just with therapy as well as with retail.
Okay. And then Laura, if that mindset comes right, so let's say they say, because I've heard this a lot, that they agree. They say, yes, of course, I agree. But clients don't want to buy. They come up with that kind of excuse. Then what?
So me personally, I would go and ask them to take me through the exact situation that they've been through. So I'd role play with them and say, well, tell me, what did you say? What did the client say? Why didn't the client want to buy? The only reason that you'll ever get a price objection from somebody is, there's two reasons. One, they literally cannot afford it. Okay. Or two, you haven't sold the value. So you haven't shown the client why that retail product was good for them and why they should want it in their lives and as part of their life. So if somebody says, well, the client didn't want it, then all I go back and say is, well, what value did you communicate to the client?
Okay.
So it's constant training. Mindset just doesn't happen because we say, okay, I'm going to change my mindset. It's constant work of addressing fears, moving to the next level, addressing the fear that comes up at that level, moving to the next level. There's fears at every step of the way, but understanding and being aware of those fears will mean that you can move to the next level. But you've got to want to. They have to want to.
Yes.
So you hire people who want to.
Yes. Okay. Interesting, because we do have another challenge that is coming up shortly that I think is also very much connected between all these others, I think, Okay, thanks, Laura. Laniel, you've got something to add to that?
Yes, I have two really easy, simple things that helped a lot of my therapists and students in the past. And that is just highlighting and reminding them that their clients are buying products anyway, regardless if it's from them, if it's from an over-the-counter teenager working at Clinique or Estee Lauder, whether it's at a Walgreens, whether it's at a pharmacy, whether it's at a farmer's market, but their clients are buying products anyway. So it's, and just because they, as a young therapist, feels that they wouldn't spend that on a luxury product, it's wrong for them to assume that their clients are unable to afford it and that they're actually coming for their expert advice. And whether they don't feel expert or not, they know way more than someone over the counter at a store. And so for me, just reminding them that their clients already are spending that money. If they're not spending it with you, they're spending it somewhere else. They're going to leave your treatment and say, well, that was a nice treatment. And then they're going to stop at a pharmacy on the way home and pick up a moisturizer. So it's a case of recommend it. If they say no, that's fine, but recommend it to everybody because there's that person there that needs the advice. And it's just reminding them again that just because you might not spend $45 on a moisturizer does not mean that your client is not willing to or wants to spend that on a quality product. So it's an assumption, making I think everyone knows it makes an ass of you and me, assume that your client doesn't want something just because you may not want to spend that is not the right way to think. So that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, thank you. Interesting. Very, very, very nice. Okay, cool. Andy, have you got anything to add on that retail story?
I do. I'm not sure how you put your hand up either, so I'll do it manually.
You do that. Okay.
So, yeah, I agree with what you've all said, and it's related to mindset, this as well, but you can see the ones who do really well in retail, when they finish the treatment, the retail is a continuous part of it. The ones who are nervous about it or see it as something different see it as a whole separate issue. So you can see when they finish a treatment, the ones who are good continue and it's part of it. They go to the retail area, talk about it, because they act like it's something the guest wants. The ones who are comfortable with treatments and uncomfortable with retail, you'll see they do the treatment really well, and then their whole body language changes. So they suddenly like, oh, here is some products, and I'm going to show you this. And it's very different. You can see the incongruence, the difference between the two things. So you want to get them to be part of that. And it comes back to, as Laura said, having that mindset. Then you've got people who can't do it and want to change it as well. So as Laura said, they want to change it. And then they have an awareness of what issues they've got. So it's like, okay, I want to do it, but I'm afraid and I can't do these things. And then you can work on each specific individual thing. But it's certainly making it part of the whole treatment experience. And then when we're teaching it as well, to make sure that we are explaining retail as part of the full treatment and not as, okay, now we're going to hit the retail.
Okay, that sounds brilliant. Great. Okay, so I mean, on the back end of all of your answers, from my perspective, and the type of training that we do, and in fact, the course that we are on the verge of launching, that's called Double Your Digits at the moment. So very interesting is it is designed for therapists or practitioners rather. So it can be a therapist, a nail technician, a hairstylist, and it's for them to double their digits. And bottom line, they're going to double their digits through retail. But it's so interesting how that entire course starts with a mindset adjustment. So we don't start with anything. We don't give them any skills at all in the beginning. We take them through quite an intensive mind adjustment section that probably, I reckon, would take about 3 to 4 weeks of adjusting their mindset. And also for them to stop projecting themselves onto the client. And it's exactly what Laniel said. And that projection is a very real thing, that just because somebody feels that they're struggling or they won't pay $50 or whatever for a moisturizer doesn't mean everybody else won't. And also making our practitioners understand that an extension of their service, or not even an extension, part of the service is the recommendation process. Because so when we teach it, we always say that the therapist only does 50% of the job for the client. They only do 50%, and that's their hands and that magic touch that they have. The other 50% of the problem and of the reason why the clients come in is done with the correct home care and lifestyle advice. And that is with anything. When you go to the doctor, same story. Doctor only does 50%. He diagnoses you. The other 50% is you, because you need to take the medication that he has recommended and make lifestyle adjustments. So it's exactly the same process when it comes to the staff in your business. Okay. And then of course, yes, from a management perspective, the managers, as Francisco said, have to continuously drive this. This is not something that gets implemented. You do it one day, you teach it once, and then you expect everybody to know it. Absolutely not. It needs to almost become a habit in the business and a habit in the management process of monitoring, of discussing, what targets are, what retail's coming out for today, and then also evaluating, very, very importantly. Okay, so here's another one, another challenge that we are having. Okay, so this particular business owner says that she really does have a wonderful business, and she hasn't had a lot of challenges in her business, but quite recently or lately, she's had one recurring issue, and this is her staff. What should I do if some of my staff are sick or they are continuously having problems at home? It's affecting our productivity and morale, and she now feels like she has a whole bunch of children. Okay, and she lists how many of them she has, and there's a lot of them. So yeah, interesting. So who are we going to start with this? Who would like to give their input first? Andy, go for it.
Hello, yes. Yeah, the kids. It's a tricky one, this, because, you know, people have got problems at home and it's staff who've had maybe a long time and we know them. You want to help them out and be caring, but at the same time, we're not counselors and we're not there to fix all of their problems. And the reality is everybody's got problems going on, big or small. So we have to deal with it in many ways. And I think one of the things is, if people have got problems at home, you can keep things at work and make everything 100% about work. So yes, we listen. Yes, we can help them. But I would always bring everything back to the work, because if somebody feels good at work and is doing well, it's a big part of their lives as well. So this then contributes to other things, I find, because in my last spa, I remember I had someone who had some really serious issues going on, but I made sure at work she was really doing well and making money, and it fed into the rest of her life, was my point. Of course, we gave her time off and then helped her out as much as we could. But honestly, if me and my spa manager had listened to her and been counselling, it would have taken up loads of time. And I'm not there to fix her personal life. I'm there to make sure she works well at work and does very well. If you've got that issue and, you know, these problems are coming in and you can't deal with it, one, you have to give them time off if they need it. But two, then longer term, if it's affecting your business, you really need to look at replacing these people.
Okay, thank you. All right. Thanks, Andy. Laura, from you?
So I agree with everything that Andy's just said, but I want to take it to a different area and say, focus on what is the team dynamic. So if a team has a shared purpose and a shared vision, and they understand what each member brings to the team and what that each has strength and weakness. And it could be that for 6 months, one person's feeling down, but the rest of the team holds them up. And if you have that shared value and that shared purpose within the team, then the rest of the team, instead of having this immature reaction because somebody is not pulling their weight, they pull together and they pull the business forward. But when you have a team that doesn't have a strong dynamic, it then becomes about the parts instead of the sum of the whole. And so I would take the time to focus on the team dynamic, take them to your mission and your vision. What is the shared purpose? What is everybody's strength within the team? Understand and create a level of understanding and acceptance that we all have things that happen in our lives, but when one is down, the other one picks us up. And it's only when we work together that we can achieve anything. And that is the strength of community, and your business is a community.
Love it. Thank you. Thanks so much. Danielle, from you.
So I've been in this situation before, and I found what really worked really well was using the praise sandwich, even though at the time I didn't realize I was doing it. But if you pull that specific person aside and explain to her or him the huge influence that they have over their team, like started off and say, you know, you're such a strong person and such an admired person in our group. It's so important that your colleagues see you shine through the toughest parts of your life, you know, like make her be or him be on your side, like pull her aside and say it's important that your words don't pull the team down, because if you share too much of your home problems with your colleagues, you're going to affect everybody in the spa. But if you speak positively and you tell, you know, your really close friends, yes, I'm going through tough things, but you know, this is where I'm gaining my strength from us all here at work. Because often, like the toughest parts in my life, I just wanted to get back to the spa and work, because I found that it helped me get through tough times. It's just to be in a positive work environment. So I would just say to that person, listen, your influence on this team is so massive that it's important that you stay positive, speak positive, and try not share your home problems with your colleagues, because we want to keep your morale up at the spa, and at the same time that keeps your morale up so that you go home with more strength to deal with your issues at home. And then also to have that open door policy, that if they need to talk to someone, that you are willing to stay after hours and be an ear and listen to their issues, just so that they're not sharing it throughout the day with the rest of the team.
Okay, I absolutely love that. Fran, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just something simple. I don't want to talk about exactly what the others say, my colleagues, but somebody told me once, Fran, why you complain about your stuff? What do you think your job is? So I was like, make money, do treatments and all this beautiful thing, order products. So I said, you're in the business of managing people. That's what we do every single day. So that's what we do every day, ladies and gents, managing people. As good or bad it sounds, that's what we do. So you can't escape from it. All you got to do is do your best every single time. But like I said, everybody fights their own battles in a different way. Somebody publicly, somebody not so publicly. And as well ourselves, like Laura says as well. So we are in the business of managing people. This is what we do every single day.
Brilliant. So I'll add on to what everybody said. So, you know, I sometimes feel as well when I get involved in helping spas run their businesses that I feel like I'm a school teacher or a psychologist. Actually, that's what I feel like. And I had a coach once upon a time who said to me, and I'll never forget these words, if you want to own a business and if you want to run a business that involves having staff, you are there to be whatever it is that they need from you. If they need a psychologist, that is your role. If they need a teacher, that is your role. If they need a mother, that is your role. And I will never, ever forget that. And he also had said to me that there has to obviously be limits drawn, you know, but the fact that you are expected to be to them whatever it is that they need resonated to me. And that is why it is so important for business owners to also ensure that they feed off things like a community like this. Because remember, we sometimes need the psychologists and we sometimes need the mothers and the sisters to cry on and spill our beans on. So that is quite important. Don't forget that, because it can get very overwhelming for business owners. And another thing that I would like to say to everyone is that the last 12 months on our staff have really put more strain than any of us can ever imagine, okay? So take whatever your strain is as the business owner or as the manager, and for me, multiply it by 100 for your staff, because they're not in your position, bottom line, okay? And they've got their own hassles and their own traumas that they're dealing with. So yes, the fact that we have 10 children, 15 or 20 children is a reality. I do feel that if you start to implement little bits and pieces of staff wellness, remember, we do have that dynamic wellness guide for you. And if you just implement little bits and pieces of wellness into your management style of how you run your team, I think that you will start feeling less and less like you have children on your hands, because now you are meeting those, and I don't know what the right word is, those personal needs that they have. They have those needs. They can't exactly go to their children and tell their children how stressed out they are financially and how they're not sleeping, and that they need somebody to be able to tell that to, and their workplace and their employer needs to be their safe place where they can come to for those kind of problems. Okay, so yeah, that's my little 2 cents worth. So I don't know if anybody has anything to add on that. Are we all good? Can we move to the next one? All good. Right. Okay, so here we go with the next one. Okay, another one that seems to be quite a common one. And I'm not sure if it's this whole COVID opening and closing, lockdown and no lockdown and whatnot and whatnot. But a lot of people seem to be coming up with the, how do I retain my clients and get new clients? So quite interesting. I'm having a few people saying that they're not retaining clients. So their clients are coming, they're coming back, but then they seem to either be going away or they don't really know where they're going. And number two, a lot of people have sent, how do I find or how do I build my customer base? And I know that's a topic of conversation all in its own, but if each of you maybe give 1 or 2 tips, it will help. Okay, so who's going to shoot off first?
Sorry, Maddie.
Yes.
It's the question that there's not enough clients, or there's the clients don't return.
The
So I didn't hear that. Don't return.
both. No, both. So clients that you have are not returning.
Okay.
And how do I find new clients? How do I get new clients? So that's simple how they're asking it actually.
Yeah, simple answer, simple question, long answer. So I will just, so we have a couple of returning clients. They in our spa, they're very loyal to our brand. So so I will look at the brand. Is the brand what the guest wants or not? Because for example, our guests are very loyal to our brand, to our therapists. We talked about it in the previous coaching sessions about when the guests don't want to come back to another therapist, what to do and all that. So I even went as far as to say that, well, if the guest doesn't want to go to another therapist, then you need to trust so much your therapist that you are able to say, well, if you go to another therapist and if you're not satisfied with the service, don't pay for it. I'm not saying that you must do that. That's what I do because I trust my team a lot. So I trust my team a lot, and I know they won't disappoint the guests because we train them on the SOPs and we're very well trained and they all do the same. It's just a personal touch that they add. So they're not coming back. Why aren't they coming back? Number one, do you know why they're not coming back? Is it the price point? Is it a price point? For example, is it a service delivery? Is it dissatisfaction overall? Is it non-facilities? What is it that you think that why they're not coming back? Or is it too much competition around you? And is it too much competition? Have you done a survey? Have you done a price comparison? Have you done a competition comparison? Whatever you call it. So it's just very broad to answer because because it's so much to tackle. You can go to a marketing plan. Have you done your marketing plan? What you have on offer, and how do you retain those clients? Do you give them something to return to when they come to you? Maybe a voucher to come back, or a bring your friend and then your treatments for free when they come back. Or do you want them to be back? Maybe they're not spending enough money. Maybe they're not the right clientele. So I think it's too many things to analyze. Maybe something of what I just rumble off, maybe it helps someone.
Okay, perfect, great. Laura, from you. Thanks, Fran.
So I totally agree with Fran, and it's a massive topic. But I'm just going to pull it right up. So, and say that as a business owner, you wear many hats, and in the past, it's been easy enough for spas and salon managers to have people come in, and you haven't had to learn how to or adapt to the way that the world is now and the marketing techniques and how much noise and how much information and the number of messages that people are bombarded with on a day-to-day basis within just an hour of time. And so we need to find a way. Unfortunately, spa in many countries, even salon, is a commodity. And so it's now based on pricing. So to get out of that, and this is for retention and for attracting clients. To get out of that, you have to find a way to differentiate yourself, to find a way to explain why you are different, why somebody should come to you and stay with you. You have to make it worth their while. You have to break the state that they're in and be different in order to influence them. Now, in the document that we did the other day, there's loads of ideas that each of us gave on how to attract clients, and there's hundreds of ideas. All you have to do is implement them. So you have to take one and implement it for 90 days and see the results. If it doesn't work, then you see, how can I adapt it? What worked, what didn't work, what can I do next? Today, marketing, you have got to put your therapy hat off, your manager's hat off, and put your marketing hat on, and understand that these are the different hats that you wear. People aren't just going to come back. They can go down the road. If you don't have the spot that they want, they'll go down the road for a wax. They'll go down a road for a facial. They are not loyal to you unless you give them a reason to be. And to give them a reason to, you have to give them an experience.
Love it, Laura, absolutely love it. So Lynelle, I just want to say something before I forget. So I'm busy with this new potential spa project that we're working on, and we have a meeting, and the initial meeting was always how we started out is the question that I ask them just to see where their head is going is, where's your differentiator? What's going to make you different? So this, some of you might find funny or some of you might not find funny. But what was going to make them different was how amazing their service was going to be. How they were going to have the most incredibly skilled therapists. How they were going to offer champagne and coffee with the services. And I just thought to myself, oh my heavens above, this is a serious problem. Anyway, so I had to find a very polite way to put forward that is not a point of difference anymore, unfortunately. We have another 50 in her little area, another 50 salons or spas that I can identify that are doing exactly that. And that is what they think their point of difference is. So, Laura, I'm with you on that one, that if you're not, number one, if your clients are not returning, for me, that is a service issue, finished. Because if you want your clients to return, you meet their needs, they will never go anywhere else again. How do you meet their needs? Ask them what their needs are. It's that simple. They will tell you what their needs are. And in today's world, personalization is king. So if, as owners and managers, we are not willing to personalize our service to every single individual client, then maybe we need to relook at what business we're in, because that's just the name of the game at the moment. So that's for me, for retaining clients. But for finding new clients, you need to sit and get so creative. It might mean one of those brainstorm sessions, I don't know, where you drink tequila. I mean, I don't even drink tequila, but who knows what would happen to me if I did drink it. And all of a sudden, the most unbelievable ideas. I mean, I don't know. All I'm saying is that to find a differentiator to attract new clients in today's marketplace, you need to get really wonky and creative at this point in time. And they're out there. This is the thing. Those ideas are out there. It's how much time, energy, and also how many people are you willing to pull in to help you put that together? Because sometimes you need to go out there and find 5 of the fussiest customers on the planet, pull them into a brainstorm session and let them guide you as the owner or the manager. Okay, Lynelle, go for it.
That was similar what I was going to say, Marisa, just that if your clients aren't returning, the fact that they come to you for the first time and then don't return is that they're just either getting exactly what they expected or you're not meeting their needs, and that's why they don't come back. But if you are not having some return, it's because you need to do that little bit extra that they're not expecting. Because if they just get what they expect, well, they might return. But if they get something more than they expected, so they paid for X amount, but they actually even got this, even if it costs you zero extra dollars, just getting that little bit something extra that they didn't expect is what will make them come back.
Yep. Okay. Brilliant. Brilliant. Yes, Andy, go for it. You found the hands up. Woohoo!
I just wanted to say I found the hand. No,
Oh.
no, I'm kidding. There's a little story. It's an interesting talking about differentiators. And when Ibiza, we're having this discussion about, because it's part of IHG, they're talking about bringing in online booking, like an online app booking, so you can book treatments.
Okay.
And there's an interesting discussion because my point of view was I'm saying, well, everybody does that. At least the big chains, all of them do this online booking thing. So what actually makes us different at Six Senses is the fact that you can book via a personalized service. And I'm saying, why should we make us exactly the same as everybody else when they're all doing it? Like Marriott are doing it, IHG are doing it, Four Seasons are doing it. The differentiator for us, what people love, is when you have, say, like a private butler in the hotel who makes the contact, and then you have that personal contact with us in the spa. And those things are what we found that people love about the Six Senses. So we're trying to make ourselves the same as everyone else because we believe everybody wants that. But when you actually ask them, as you're saying, ask them, what do they want? They want something different than what we think. So it's a very important question, number one.
So Andy, can I just ask you something? Because now you've given my creative juices without any tequila, like a proper high here. So when they book, you openly ask them what question? How do you ask the question?
Which regarding what? Treatment booking or what?
Yes, because you said on the online booking, you find out what they want. So what is one of your questions?
Well, the online booking, my issue with the online booking is that it's down to the guest. So they have to dig in and say, okay, I want to book this day. I want to book this massage or this facial, 60 minutes. And it's like lots of detail and they have to choose it. And the thing with that is that guests don't always know what they want. So they might book one thing and then they can turn up into the spa having booked online with no human contact. And then they might not be getting the right thing for them. So with a human contact, when you're talking to them in person, they might be wanting to book a massage, but actually they may need something else. So the questions we ask on an online thing is, like every other online booking system, you've got book this, book that, what do you want today? But the personal contact is the thing where you can see them, you can listen, and then you can just get an idea and delve more and give them something much more specific.
So can I ask you another question? If somebody does an online booking, do physical people phone them back to elaborate and to personalize it, or do they just come in and then that section does when they're in?
They do, depends when they book it, because if they're booking it in advance prior to arrival in the resort, then yes, we would always contact them and confirm and do this and do that. But sometimes they've got the option in resorts where they can book it on the day, and it's not always physically possible to do this. And sometimes when they book that, we don't know where they are in the resort, and then they can turn up. This is another of my issues, that they're booking certain things and then we have no contact with it. So for me, you see, it should only be information, in my opinion. And for Six Senses I'm talking about, not to have the online booking system without human interaction at some point.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. Okay, thanks for that. Laura, yes, go for it. Laura has two hands up, the computer one and her hand.
I'm just going for it all because Andy got me very excited there.
Yes.
The one thing, the one of the best experiences that I've had, and it wasn't even a really good experience, if that makes sense, but was I went to Canyon Ranch in December of 2019. And prior to going, when they book you into the resort, they send you the week's wellness guide and everything that's going, so all the activities that are taking place, what treatments you can book. And so you make a booking. So you say, okay, I want to have this, 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 and this. But when you arrive at the ranch, somebody sits with you and you get an appointment with your personal wellness curator. And they sit with you and they take you through everything you've chosen based on what you've said on your consultation card. They say, I'm not sure that that's the right thing for you, but this would be. And every single day you can go to that one specific person and say, hey, Laura, I was thinking that I wanted to do aerial yoga, but I feel a bit dizzy today. So instead, could I do the Pilates class? And that person makes that booking for you. And they didn't even do it well, guys, but it was such a good experience because it was all very, very personal.
I love that. Okay, that sounds amazing. So I just want to add something onto what you've said, Laura, is when I attended the Professional Beauty, had this online thing in the UK. I tried to attend as many of those talks as possible, but one thing, a lot stood out for me, but now that we're talking about this, one word stood out for me, that a lady who owns a salon, I really don't remember who she is, she said that they have stopped having consultations with their clients and they are now having conversations with their clients. I love that word. It's almost like a new little light bulb went off in my head. So I've started training everybody, and we've pushed it into our Double Your Digits training as well, that we are no longer consulting. We are conversing. We are talking. Because in a conversation, first of all, a consultation is always viewed as a quick thing. Think about it. You go to the doctor, consultation, he wants you in and out, boom, boom, okay? That's how it is. A conversation, immediately the word denotes we are going to talk, and it's going to be longer. And it's a two-way thing. So I'm going to ask you questions and you're going to answer me. So I love that. And I would like to say that for me, in order to make our services more personalized, to keep people coming back to our businesses, our conversations need to be more meaningful. That for me is important. So the conversation that I have with Laura would be totally different to the conversation that I have with Andy and with Francisco and with Lanil and with Karen, with whoever. Okay. And that's what I love about it. Is it for me, it's quite simple. In order to personalize the service, I love what Andy was talking about in terms of the information that you get at booking. But to make it even more personalized is to make that conversation have meaning. And it's no longer a consultation, it's a conversation. So yeah, I quite love that. Anyway, I just thought I'd share that with everyone because that was my love this. Okay, so there's another one. Anybody in the community have anything to add? Does anybody want to add anything? Because we'd like to hear from you if you've succeeded too. Okay, so this is quite an interesting one because I think it affects a lot of business owners who might be listening here. Converse sensational. Gee whiskers, Andy, new word, hey, love it. Okay, my number one challenge is that I'm unable to physically be present in my business all the time. And this is real, okay? And yes, we carry on and on as coaches, and we say to our managers and owners, you need to be in your business. You need to be in your business. But let's face it, reality is we are dealing with a bunch of entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are like octopuses, right? They have their hands all over the show. And they cannot physically be in their business all the time. So what do you have to say to those owners? Laura, go for it. Oh, Laura's hands are wailing today.
Well, I just don't believe that you have to be in your business all the time. So I've got a completely different perspective. I think that I think that you need to trust your team. And if you have set up the right systems, the right operating procedures, if you have given your team the trust, if you are working with adults and not children, if you have given them the self-empowerment in order to do their jobs, to make sure that they are being self-sufficient, you shouldn't have to be there. Your job should be working on your business and not in it. So whilst there is the time that we have to manage people and we have to manage the business in the day-to-day, you have to learn to trust your team in order to do it. Otherwise, you are never going to fulfill that entrepreneurial to have many hands and many pies. So it's down to trust.
Love it. Okay. Who else would like to add there? No, Francisco is not adding. Okay, Andy, go. Then I will speak on behalf of Francisco. But anyway, go for it, Andy.
Yeah, to add to what Laura was saying, there is the entrepreneurial spirit is having the people there and believing that they want to do well as well. If you've got the right people in place, whatever level they are, and I don't mean you need to have supervisors and managers doing it for you, but when people are there and they're willing to do it and they want to do it, you're generally fine. You're just guiding. You can guide from afar. And then it's also about sharing what you know. I think the people who feel like they need to be there are the ones who've kept all the juicy stuff for themselves. So they don't explain how to do anything. So if I've got a team, say of receptionists who don't know how to operate or fix things, or I've not given them the leeway and the empowerment to be able to make decisions themselves, I definitely need to be there because I've got to answer all their questions and do it for them. But as soon as you've empowered these people and they're comfortable making decisions, even if they might make the wrong decision from time to time, then you're good to go.
Okay, absolutely love it. Okay, so maybe I won't talk on behalf of Fran, but I would like to share his story. Yes, Michelle. Fran, I'm coming back to you. Go for it, Michelle.
So I actually had a situation at the spa the other day. I haven't been present because I want to see how the spa runs without me. Well, not present in the spa, but working from home on administrative things and just not putting my foot in the spa. And when I went to have my nails done as a client, I didn't have a receptionist that day and I didn't have a manager that day. Simply, the two people that were there was the nail tech and the hairstylist. So the nail tech turns around to me and says, you know what? I don't think we need so many people here. I'd like you to teach me how to make a receipt and how to swipe the card on the card machine, if you don't mind. And I said, no problem, let me teach you. So today, the receptionist called in sick, and the nail tech said to me, don't worry, Michelle, I've got it. I know how to do the receipt. I know how to swipe the machine. I'll send you what I've done throughout my day later this afternoon. So I do agree with everything that everyone has said. You need to trust your team and maybe capacitate people that you don't think have the capacity to do what you do.
Okay. And that's interesting coming from you, Michelle, because a few months back, you had mentioned in the community that if you weren't there, things didn't run the way that you wanted them to be, that you had to be there all the time in order to get the results. So I'm actually very proud of you for coming this far. And I mean, well done. It's good now that you don't have to be there and that you've given them, you've empowered them. Well done.
Thanks.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's just quickly have a look here. And then, Fran, I'm coming back to you. Kim is saying, I find that letting my staff know that I'm available anytime on WhatsApp or for a phone call, things run better. It inspires a sense of unity and security for them, knowing that they can call and ask anything and I'll be there to guide them. If I cannot accept a call or immediately reply to a message, I assure them that I will get back to them. So that's brilliant, Kim, because that's giving them a sense of comfort, like you say, that they're flying solo, but they know that you are there in order to help them. Okay, so Fran, when you went off to have your twins, and you have a pretty big operation there, okay, and I was astounded at how your team, I don't know if this is the right analogy, but they took the bull by the flipping horns and they made it happen. So, and you weren't there at all. So what, just share with everybody, I don't know if there is anything specific to share, but did you do something different? Did you, I don't know, tell us.
See, I'm very bad critic with myself, or I don't know how to, it was difficult for me to say because I put things in place that empowers them to run the business on their own. They don't need me here. I don't do anything. I'm a conductor. I don't physically do treatments. I just help them maybe organize a bit better, but I don't really do physically nothing. They do it. They're the ones who know who the clients are, how to book them, when to book them. They know exactly how far they can go. Like Kim said, I'm always available on the phone. You can call me, you can WhatsApp me, whatever they need to at any day, night, or even when I was on leave with the twins, they were calling me. So it's fine just for guidance or whatever, but it's not. I think because we work so hard for the first year and a bit to put everything in place. So the business can run on its own, or they can run it, not me. I don't have to run it. So once you work so hard for those systems to be in place and constantly working at them, eventually it creates this engine that sort of works on its own, because everybody knows exactly what to do, how to do it, how they're going to be measured, and what's expected of them.
Okay, so that for me is important. So you gave the expectation, bottom line. You told them what you were expecting, you gave them the tools. So that's great, well done. Okay, so we're going to take one more and then we're going to close off so that we don't go too much over 5 o'clock. Okay, so this particular business owner said, my greatest challenge is my marketing. By the way, I'm reading one of the owner's challenges, but there were a lot of people's that came through with the same challenges with regards to marketing, okay? I work so much in my business, and we've got a lot of owners and managers who are also, hey, they're working therapists, right? And have employed so many people to manage my marketing. But it's always like fitting a square peg into a round hole. When I try to do it myself, I lack consistency and creativity because it's not my strength. I try to do it myself, but it doesn't really work out either. Any recommendations on that, by the way? And if any other salon owners are out there and spa owners, okay, go for it, Laura.
So the first thing that I would suggest is that before you hand over any marketing to anybody is you need to have very, very clear brand guidelines. So you need to set the tone for your brand, the voice of your brand, what you want the aesthetics to look like, you put together a loose marketing calendar, what you're promoting, when you want to promote it, what you want to acknowledge, and you identify. So I would personally interview companies, ask them, say, here is a mock week or a mock month that I'd like you to mock up to show me what you would do, and assess whether it speaks to your brand values, it speaks to the tone of voice that you'd like to communicate, and see how you feel about it. I would then make sure that if they've worked in my industry before and what results they achieved, what their expectations of good marketing looks like, and see if it is aligned with my own. And I would then give them a trial for 3 months to see whether it's working out. But I would make sure that I was involved on a week-to-week basis to say, that one was good, that one didn't get it, and so that you stay involved, so that you don't have to worry about the consistency, but you're still managing it. Just manage it, whether they're an agency or not. Just manage them like a person, a team member. I mean.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you for that. Laniel, go for it.
Hey, I think what brought up a red flag for me there was the lack of consistency, because I think if you take on too much at a time, definitely that's going to happen. But if you are inconsistent on social media, it carries through for that client right through the treatments and everything else. They won't come to you if they see the first thing is like your marketing isn't every Tuesday at 10 o'clock that you said you were going to do something online and then you didn't. Then they'll start losing interest in even coming in. So I think one thing I learned in module 8 of the spa management course was that if you're taking on too much and you can't keep it up, you need to just focus on one platform, like pick Facebook, pick Instagram, whatever it is you're using, and just bring it right down to the ground level where you're doing one thing a week on one platform and you do it consistently. Because if you lose that consistency, I think everything falls apart. So just choosing one thing that works for you, and I would put it in my calendar, repeating every week for 6 months or whatever it is, so that you get an alarm and it tells you to go do your post for Tuesday at 10 or whatever. And that consistency builds trust from your followers that you don't even know are following you, because half the time you get new followers, you don't even know that, you all of a sudden go from 5 views to 3,000 views, and you're like, what, how did that happen? And you don't know exactly who's watching what you're doing. So that consistency is definitely key. So I think cutting it down to a manageable bite-sized piece, but doing it consistently is, I think, the number one step.
Okay. Interesting. Yes. Agreed, obviously. Fran, yes, go for it. Thank you, Leniel.
I happen to had experience with other in previous job roles where we actually outsource our marketing efforts to different marketing companies. In my experience, like Laura said, you have to be very involved in the beginning until they sort of get to understand what your brand is about, because it's not as easy as like put a collage together what your brand is and off you go. It's not. It's very involved because they have to almost understand the origin of your brand. Where does it come from? How do you want to see it in the future? The mission, the vision. Where do you see it in 10 years? And they need to be those people who need to carry that message towards what you want them to become. If you want to take the brand wherever, right? So I found that owners cannot do that themselves, even COOs, and it's just too much work. And so that's why when I see that we outsource half of what we do to a professional company who actually manages social media, creates all these posts, but we do meet with them every single month. And they send us, for example, they send us in advance what they're going to post, how they're going to say it. This is the post that they're going to do for the whole hotel, not just for the spa. It's a restaurant, the hotel, the spa, and then we are allowed to interfere or engage into a comment. And it's actually very valuable. Their faces change when you have meetings with them one-on-one, because they have an idea of what you think you want. And then when you meet with them one-on-one or by a Zoom or whatever, you explain to them what you mean, they really get it and be like, oh, now I get really what you're saying. And this is how I'm going to translate your words into a marketing campaign. Because this is what happened to me. I don't speak marketing. I speak what I want and what my brand is, what I want the brand to be, and how I want to achieve what I want to achieve. And they're the ones who put the language to that. Nice. But you have to be very involved at the beginning, especially. Very, and always monitoring and checking that what you're actually doing works, because if it doesn't speak to anyone, then you need to change it, of course.
Okay, so thank you, Fran. And I just want to add on to what everybody has said, that the ability for your marketing efforts to be dynamic in nature. Right now, the way that the world is, that is what is going to make your marketing successful or not. Because in the past, we could put out a marketing campaign and we would be very sure that it would work. Today, it doesn't work like that anymore. And that's why you need to be dynamic, number one. And number two, you need to be flexible and change very quickly. So it's called speed of implementation. So if you all of a sudden see that there's this trend going towards dermaplaning or IV drips, for that matter, because that seems to be quite trendy, you need to jump on that trend really, really quickly and speak to the clients that are looking for those kind of treatments. It's not anymore about, okay, let me take 532 years to research this. Let's cost it. Let's dissect it. Let's send it through 500 layers of management. I'm sorry, don't even waste your time. Don't do that anymore, because it's just too fast-paced at the moment. And then the other thing I want to say about marketing, get your team involved. And I'll tell you why. Your team will work with the people who tell them what they want. What they want ultimately is going to speak to your marketing strategy. It's that simple. So don't get a team member involved that doesn't have creative flair, that perhaps has language barriers, because that's also setting them up for embarrassment, that they don't really want to be there. So yeah, it is part of our marketing module where we recommend that you call a meeting and say, listen, we're having a marketing brainstorm. We would like to invite you all. And you'll very quickly see who wants to come in members of your team that want to share what their customers are telling them, that want to share what people are asking for. And that's a very, very strong strategy for you, is to get the people involved that are physically doing the treatments and talking to the customers. Okay. So yeah, Laura is saying relevancy is king. All right, super. So that's all we have time for. I don't want to finish too much later. So the last time I got into trouble, we went over an hour and a half. So today it was just 10 minutes, but I think we managed to put out some very valuable challenges. If anybody, like I said at the beginning, if you're having a challenge that hasn't been resolved, please message it to me or reach out to me, and I will get you some answers and some advice from our coaches. And yeah, that's it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. If you can all please go into the chat box, I'd like to hear from you. What stood out for you today? What in today's session made the most impact for you as an individual? Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Let's hear it. Come. Everybody get those fingers moving. Remember our words: movement, moving, moving. Okay, so Michelle is saying, thank you, always a breath of fresh ideas. Great. Laniel said conversation, not consultation. Yeah, that made a big impact in my life too, Laniel. In fact, I'm carrying on about it now. On and on and on and on. Okay, come everybody. Let's hear what made the most impression on you today, and then we're done. Michelle, conversation. Good, 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 good. Conversation should fix all of our retail challenges, by the way. Okay, Karen is saying, trust your staff. Conversations, oh yes. Susu, brilliant session. Thank you so much. Joanne, love the online booking, phoning client to make it personal and VIP. Totally, Joanne, I love that too. This whole personalization thing is quite incredible. And I do feel that we have a huge gap. That's our gap in our marketplace at the moment, is how do we take our business, how do we take what we do, and how do we personalize it to give it so much power that we are the spa of the business that is spoken about. Yep. Okay. Some more, everybody. Come. There's lots of you on the call. Let us know what's made the best or biggest impression on you in today's conversation. Oh, these fingers aren't working very well today. I think everybody's, Kim, felt a true sense of community hearing that other skin center owners experience the same issues and challenges that I do. So community. Yes, Kim, exactly. So remember, hey, all of our staff need us to be to them what they need, but we also, as owners and managers, need our little tribe, our little community to go to uplift us and give us ideas and listen to us and, you know, be to each other what we need. So you're right, Kim, community, correct. Okay, super. So everybody, Michelle, I send my weekly post to my top 5 loyal customers and ask them to share it on their social media. Nice idea, Michelle. Well done. Great. Okay, so everybody, have the most amazing weekend coming up. Take that revenue. It's Easter, and you should be, I have a few words to say to you. You should be strategizing to double your digits this weekend. So whatever you planned to do, double it and don't settle for anything less. Okay, because if the mindset is in place to double it, then the activity will come to double it. And then guess what? Not magic, but you will double your revenue. Okay, so thank you, everybody. Be safe and chat soon. See you all very soon. Cheerio. Bye. Double and triple. Yes, Karen, double and triple. Love it.